Hey again, Justin here. In the last lesson, we talked about what requirements are involved in becoming president. And guess what? You meet them all. And guess what else? You've won the election. You are the next president of the United States. Hail to you, Chief. Now you can kick back with your cabinet and enjoy some cake and cocoa. Actually, wait. No, you can't, because you now have quite possibly the most stressful job in the entire world. We're going to be talking about those duties today. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to analyze the federal executive branch's role in terms of its constitutional basis, constitutional and traditional basis, and solely traditional basis. So, you just became president. Now what? Time to take on the roles and duties of the office, Chief. Not only do you have a large amount of your own roles to fulfill, but if you remember our last lesson, you remember that the president is not a king. No, the president has a large network of departments, commissions, and positions they must oversee and organize as well, each with their own roles and duties. So, what are these roles? And how do we know that these roles are the executive branch's responsibility? Well, let's start with the roles created specifically by the president's constitutional powers. According to the Constitution's Article 2, Section 1, Clause 1, the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. This clause makes the president the chief executive, or highest executive in the land. That's you now, Chief. Your main duty? To carry out federal law and uphold the Constitution. Article 2, Section 3 says that the president shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. This section has led to the use of executive orders. Word alert! An executive order is an order issued from the president that has the force of law but bypasses Congress. As chief executive, the president is also granted the power to issue pardons and reprieves. It's another word alert. A pardon is the action of forgiving or being forgiven for an error or offense. A reprieve is a cancellation or postponement of a punishment. Did you know that the Constitution makes the president the commander-in-chief? But what does the president command? Not me, I have rights. The Constitution makes the president the head of the military and the National Guard. The founders and framers believed that assigning a civilian as the head of the military would help prevent coups d'etats, or a military takeover, and authoritarianism. It also gives the president the power to call into service the state militias. Maybe the framers were a little worried about a repeat of Shays' rebellion. Check out the PDF for an inside look at how our first president handled this role. There are a lot of other nations in the world, and someone has to handle the conflicts and cooperation that naturally occurs in a global environment. This person is the chief diplomat, and you probably know who that is. That's right, you, the president. This responsibility of the president is crucial for the development of foreign policy. The Constitution makes the president responsible for receiving foreign leaders and diplomats, as well as appointing ambassadors in order to conduct diplomacy through the State Department. The president's appointment power is key to influencing domestic and foreign policy because these appointments direct the courts, departments, agencies, and commissions that regulate American society. Beyond these significant diplomatic powers, Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution grants the president the power to make treaties. Never heard of those? Word alert! A treaty is a formally concluded and ratified agreement between countries. these must be ratified by the Senate. Now, the power to make an agreement between countries could radically affect what happens in the world and here at home. I hope you have a lot of well-qualified connections. One section down. Time to flaunt that knowledge by showing what you know. In your notebook, answer the following questions. What constitutional powers create specific presidential roles? For example, the Constitution grants the president the power to appoint ambassadors. This power creates the role of chief diplomat. Rewind the video and jot down some more powers and the roles associated with them. We're not done yet, though. Some of the president's roles come from a mix of both constitutional powers and traditions that have evolved over time. An important example of this mixture is the president's constitutional power to call Congress for special sessions and the veto power. These two combined result in a tradition, the president's legislative agenda. Hold on a second. Does the president create laws? No. But as chief legislator, it's a tradition for the president to come into office with a legislative package that the president will then try to get Congress to pass into law. So there's that example of tradition and the Constitution mixing together. Another role that comes from both the Constitution and tradition is chief of state. I know, too many chefs in the kitchen. Or chiefs in the kitchen in this case. As chief of state, the president has the constitutional power to receive foreign leaders and dignitaries, and to decorate veterans. Time to schmooze with world leaders. Hope you brushed up on your table manners. Other roles as chief of state are simply handed down from president to president and are not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution, such as lighting the national Christmas tree or receiving winners of major sports events. So, we just learned that some roles come from a mix of constitutional powers and tradition. Time to show what you know. First, explain how the roles of chief legislator and chief of state emerged from both constitutional powers and tradition. Check out my table. Please set one up like it in your notebook and put your answers in the appropriate section of the table. Now let's look at presidential roles that were created purely through tradition. So, what roles come from tradition? Over time, the American economy has grown more complicated and diverse. Just look at all the choices in the cereal aisle. Move over, Frosted Flakes. Cinnamon, banana, chocolate, raisin, wheat flakes are coming to a store near you. And today, one of the president's roles is the chief of economy, which means the president is an economic leader as well. As the economic leader, the president's office, through the Office of Management and Budget, is responsible for suggesting the funding of the federal government. The presidential budget often acts as the starting point in the construction of the actual budget. For modern presidents, it's traditionally the role of the president to create a plan for dealing with economic matters such as taxes, employment, and overall health. But keep in mind, Congress must turn these plans into law. So this starts a dance of compromise between Congress and the office of the president to guide the nation. The nation holds the president accountable for the state of the economy, but keep in mind Congress's legislative role of turning such proposals and plans into reality. Both are accountable for what's passed. As if you didn't already have enough on your hands, so get ready for that. Talk about pressure. Before we wrap up, time to show what you know. Explain how tradition has led to the presidential role of chief of economy. And with that, let's recap. The president's main duty is found in the first section of Article 2, which vests executive power in the president and requires them to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution and federal laws. The constitutional powers and tradition have created a number of different roles that the president must fulfill. For the super secret mystery role that we totally left out on purpose, check out the PDF. Still want to be president? Well, I give you a lot of credit. It's a tough job with a lot of roles. That's it for us today, though. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and please remember, vote, debate, participate.